So in September 1st of 1969, about 300 people from 4 or 5 neighboring towns end up seeing something in the sky that was spectacular, that just didn't belong to where people saw it. And a few of those people were children with their parents that end up disappearing from where they were. Some were hanging out by the lake with their parents. Some were in the car coming back with, their grandma and mom from the diner that they own. Just different stories and different circumstances, but the commonality was these kids disappeared and they ended up on a craft where some sort of testing took place. And, you can imagine, like, I'm coming from a non-believer to a story where people say that they end up on a craft and samples were taken out of them, and there's
physical
evidence on people's bodies. So it just really shook me to my core. But more so than me synthesizing the information that was being shared with me, it was actually more about me feeling almost a sense of shame that I judged those people without putting the effort in vetting the information myself. And especially with how traumatic people describe the event to them and the amount of vulnerability it took for them to actually just come forward and share that. And for me to just be so egotistical, to just think I know better and I don't even need to look into what they're presenting in front of me. And that shook my entire reality, and it made me just go down to the biggest rabbit hole of my whole life. That was 5 years ago. My life completely changed. And ever since, I just gradually developed a deeper and deeper interest towards the phenomenon. And actually, like, the beginning was more the phenomenon of us not believing other fellow human beings that tell us things that break our construct of reality, more so than me trying to even begin to figure out what are we looking at, or who is visiting, or any of these bigger questions. I was just interested in, like, why are we doing that with each other, and what has been the plan in place to get us to do that with one another. Because I think it's, now with what I know about the phenomenon, about the way disclosure has been, engineered over the years, I think that the current discourse in society is no accident. There's a reason people have been conditioned over so many years with a laugh cue every time a celebrity on a talk show says that they've seen a UFO.
My God, yeah.
It's almost an automatic thing. And I could just start seeing all these things after that experience, after I came back, and after I, told that story for the first time. Obviously, also on Yes Theory, the nature of the story is very positive. It's
wholesome,
hope-giving, a lot of adventure. So this was just like we were all worried that people would be like, what the fuck are you guys doing? Like, this is not what Yes Theory is. But for me, it was like the core of what Yes Theory is, which is to seek discomfort. That's the guide and the North Star guiding principle for the whole movement, for what we do and when we pick episodes. And for me, there was nothing that was more comfortable. It was more of seeking discomfort than for me to reconsider my worldview.
It's a good way of putting it.
Yeah.
Did you receive some partial backlash from the other Yes Theory members prior to that? And did you see some of their the way they see reality shift before, during, and after? Did you get to witness that? And as well as your own?
Yeah, so what I got to witness was actually the people that I took with me on that mission, because one of them was Tommy, who's the lead editor of Yes Theory, the head of Post. And he is just one of the most pragmatic, skeptical people that you can, and not in a negative sense, but he's just...
Yeah, very logical.
Yeah, he, studying math in college, and his reality was very much shook, but in a way where he actually got so scared that he, even though he was there talking to the same people that I talked to, he kind of can post that experience had the opposite effect on him, where he just didn't want to hear more about it.
Wow.
I think it scared him quite a bit. The things that were shared, people ending up on crafts, and as I said, samples are taken. It is it is hard to go from zero to
It's jarring.
abductions. You know, you're not talking about someone who saw a craft in the sky and then all of a sudden it's not there anymore. That's a bit easier to take in. But I thought that, so I knew that he was going to be the one editing the Grush piece with me a year after that, or 3 years after that. And to me, knowing how anti the topic he became post the Berkshires,
yes,
I knew that if working on the piece that we're going to make about Grush can allow him to get to the other side and actually see the other perspective and start opening up his mind more, then I know that we will be making something that is really good, that has the same potential to do for, you know, other people out there who may have never come across the subject. And even though there was a lot of resistance, I was actually worried about editing that piece with him, because I was just like, I really want someone to have their heart in it. I want someone to almost have the same conviction that I have, so that we can put a piece that has that energy. But I actually in the process realized, oh no, that balance was really important, because he was treating it as himself watching that piece, and I was treating it as also someone with a lot of passion towards truth and towards uncovering this, you know, this reality here. So that balance of having these two perspectives in the piece, and I think end up generating a piece that wasn't just speaking to believers or just skeptics.
Yeah.
But I actually end up doing both.
Yeah. And, you know, the outcome of that Berkshire video was immense. I mean, even for Yes Theory, who does have a huge following, that was like kind of unprecedented.
Yeah.
Like you look at something like that, you're touching a brand new niche in a, like you said, this isn't the format, this isn't what we normally do. It's a complete left turn.
Yeah.
And yet ended up getting 7 million views. This thing just goes off. The comments are, you know, quite positive. Yeah. For a channel that doesn't delve into the UFO stuff regularly, you would expect, you know, a lot more of like, what the hell is this? But no, it hit mainstream audiences, and they, because of the way that you were able to tell that story from someone experiencing it for the first time, not someone biased like myself, not someone, you know, who's bought in. It's someone who's discovering. And I think that discovery people connect with, just much like, you know, when you guys are in some random city and have to find a place to sleep without money, it's watching your reality change with the things that you learn and getting to witness that on camera. I think that that's what connects to people.
100%.
Not just the UFO stuff, but how you deal with the UFO stuff. And I think that might inspire a lot of people in questioning themselves. Like, maybe I took too hard of a look at that too. Maybe I should also do a little more research before I, you know, flippantly judge this.
Spot on.
So it's very, very powerful.
And that was my whole goal of just, because basically pretty much what I did is I recreated that episode that I watched on Unsolved Mysteries, but in a way where I knew that I'm bridging a gap in the storytelling, that I had to almost, you know, turn a blind eye on a few things in that piece that still weren't ideal, because they were like the classic TV editing, kind of like bit dated. But I knew that I could tell that story and I could ask questions that are even more relevant to a young person watching.
Yeah, someone who has no idea.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And in fact, I'm gonna do it in an atmosphere where it's just like young people curious, and there's the, you know, you see Tommy being a little scared and uncomfortable with it. You see me excited, but like the entire time I'm just like being floored by everything that is being shared. You see Sky, who was there, who knew about the case, asking even deeper questions. So that's when I realized that there's a gap that exists in the storytelling about the phenomenon.
Do you think that you would have been on this path had that video tanked?
Ooh.
Hard to say, right?
Yeah.
I don't think that video could have tanked.
No,
but
I think...
do you think it would have deviated, or it would have just taken longer for you to get there?
The only difference it would have made is that it wouldn't have allowed me to make the Grush piece.
Which did change everything.
Except that Grush piece was an underperformer for Yes Theory, even though all the metadata on the back end on YouTube Studio said that this should be one of Yes Theory's best ever videos.
No way.
Highest watch time, higher watch time than Project Iceman, the 2-hour documentary that is on YouTube.
Higher watch time?
And Project Iceman is double.
No way.
Yeah. So I was looking at the metadata as, you know, in the first 24 hours, and I was like, okay, this is gonna rip. This is perfect. I think within 24 hours, just the line completely flat line. YouTube recommendations like significantly
Did you get flagged?
lower. That's what I believe. Like I would.
No, but like, did you get actually flagged?
No,
you didn't see anything on the front end?
No. It's just complete flat line of growth on that video.
That makes no sense.
It makes zero sense. And I would I would put money on the fact that something was done to that video. Because I really think, the reality is people who already were interested in Grush, interested in the hearing, those are the people that we're going to watch it anyways on Jesse's channel.
Yeah.
And we're going to watch the hearing on the news.
Sure.
But I think what we were doing is that we were introducing, the potentially 9-10 million people who may have never heard about this global audience.
Yeah.
And I think that if, to the power there be, that's too...
He was gaining a lot of traction
at
that point.
Yeah.
It was becoming mainstream media for sure.
Yeah.
And you were probably the most mainstream outlet.
And we're talking about only 2 cameras had access to him during this entire time.
That's right.
Myself and Jesse.
And it was immediately after.
We were with him in the 4 or 5 days after the hearing. We saw his phone get blown up by every single media entity in the world wanting to talk to him. So we know that people were interested in his story, and we know that it doesn't make sense that all of a sudden, when there's only 2 pieces of content on the internet about his story, and both are done in very different ways. Jesse went into the technical, the historic.
His got flagged too, by the way.
Yeah. That's kind of the confirmation that I have that ours was under the microscope as soon as it went live, because Jesse put his piece, I think, a week before ours. So I think,
doesn't make sense.
But that's, as I said, your question was, if that first Berkshire's video had tanked, I just wouldn't have been able to make that, but it would not have affected my interest in the subject, because if anything, I would, of course the video has maybe 1.5 million views, the one with Grush, which, is great, and I'm very grateful for that. But for Yes Theory standards, for what this piece should have been and the circumstances that it came out in, that should be 10 million views.
Well, I mean, you got a video like Bob Lazar hopping on Rogan, and it's got 65 million views. Obviously, it's Joe Rogan.
Yeah.
But, I mean, still.
Yeah.
This is the #1 current whistleblower in the whole sphere. This is the guy that on camera in front of Congress talked about aliens, essentially.
Yeah.
Everybody else is talking about, a light in the sky or fast-moving object on a blip on a radar.
Yeah.
This guy's saying we've retrieved bodies. And people want to hear about that.
And what we did is we created another public hearing, a true public hearing for Grush. I think it was the morning after the hearing. We have a very strong community that is present in all over the world. So I put a call out on Instagram asking for skeptics and believers to send in a question that they would want to ask a whistleblower. I didn't give more context than that. And then I just picked 30 people that had a good balance between, in questions, and we just told them to show up to our hotel the following day, to the rooftop, and we set up this room.
Yeah.
And so I know that we weren't just repeating something that is already in the hearing that someone wouldn't need to watch that video.
It was fresh content.
It was fresh content. It was, we're going with Grush to his home. We're meeting his partner. We're asking her questions, all things that are looking behind the curtains.
Yeah.
But this guy, especially when he's coming to tell humanity one of the most profoundly shocking things that we've ever received from someone at this level. I thought people would have more interest in knowing who the hell this guy is. And I think that's what our piece was. I wanted to show what's his motivation as a human being outside of all the official things that he's done, and so I
And in your words, what is that? What is his motivation outside of all that? Like, in your own experience from hanging out with him, meeting him, and knowing him personally, what's your gestalt on David Grush?
First of all, I think he's a hero for what he's taken on to be able to say what he said, and everything that he's gone through post. You know, he 2023 is now almost 3 years ago, and you can see consistency in the position that he's had, and him not being you know, some media grifter that just wanted to promote a book or a movie or anything of that sort. You can just see that he was in it to truly deliver a truth to humanity based on the oath that he had taken. And I think it's, and I see that be a trend between people who've had jobs like Grush, people who've just been in the military and the Air Force. I think there's a sense of remorse over certain type of missions, things that happen, wars that were fought, and that eventually, you know, years later, we're looking back and be like,
yeah,
what the fuck was that for? And I think for the potential that this topic offers humanity, and I think this is, I find it to be almost a way of like atoning for things that happened in the past.